president of the United States is a hard job. We all know that. I mean, all the hard decisions land on your desk. Every single president says this, and it's true. But there are actually some parts of the job that are supposed to be, well, much easier than others. Simple things that the leader of the free world does in between all of the difficult stuff. Like, say, throwing a birthday party for America. I mean, that's supposed to be one of those very easy things, right? But for Donald Trump, even the easiest parts of being president somehow all end up being an unmitigated disaster. I mean, take tonight's launch of the big Freedom 250 celebration in Washington. Have you been watching any of this? I mean, it kicks off with a Trump rally ahead of the so-called Great American State Fair, which begins tomorrow. Now, originally, the plan was for this whole thing to launch tonight with a big concert on the National Mall. Last month, Trump's team even announced a slate of musicians that would be headlining the event, and they weren't exactly current A-listers. I mean, one of the headliners was one half of the infamous European lip-syncing pop duo Milli Vanilli. Bret Michaels of Poison fame was included, Martina McBride, you get the idea. Within a matter of hours, once it became clear to those artists that the concert would be associated with Donald Trump, even those artists started dropping out of the concert one by one, until eventually Trump effectively pulled the plug, calling for that big concert to be canceled. But despite all of that, Trump promised that the launch of America 250 would still be super duper awesome.
We're going to have the biggest rally we've ever had. It's going to be on the National Mall. It's our music, our playlist. We don't have a lot of people boring you with songs that you don't want to hear. We have the hottest people, the hottest everything.
They have the hottest people. Glenn Greenwood, I'm looking at you. It's a big day for you. The hottest everything. They don't have a lot of people boring you with the songs you don't want to hear. So who did Trump manage to book for his big event? Who was the big name they managed to lock in? Well, it's Kash Patel's 27-year-old girlfriend. Get excited, everybody. The FBI director's 27-year-old girlfriend is a featured performer at Trump's big celebration, which I'm sure was thrilling news for all of these 6,000 people who are following her budding country music career on Spotify. I'm sure they are absolutely delighted. But it turns out well-known musicians are not the only ones dropping out of Trump's big state fair. The website for the event says it will feature more than 150 exhibits from all 56 states and territories. Sounds good, right? Only it turns out that some of America's states and territories are just as reluctant to participate in this thing as Milli Vanilli, or one half of Milli Vanilli, to be exact. Because several states have now also announced that they are pulling out of this event, too. According to various news outlets, at least 10 states have dropped out and will not have exhibits at the event. Trump couldn't even get all 50 states of the United States of America to attend the Great American State Fair. And he can't even deliver on the food he promised for this event, it turns out, because yesterday, Axios reported that a local D.C. sandwich shop that appeared on the event's vendor list said they never agreed to participate in the fair at all. Again, this is supposed to be the kind of thing that is easy for a president. It's kind of the presidential equivalent of a local politician showing up at a ribbon-cutting ceremony. But Donald Trump can't even pull this off. And that's sort of par for the course right now. I mean, also today, Trump was supposed to hold a signing ceremony for a bipartisan housing bill on Capitol Hill. Now, passing any bipartisan legislation that addresses real problems like housing is not easy under any president, especially these days. But luckily for Trump, Congress did all the heavy lifting on that part. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Tim Scott worked together with a bunch of other senators to shepherd the 21st Century Road to Housing Act through the Senate. Representatives Maxine Waters and French Hill did the same in the House. Senator Warren is actually going to join me here later this hour to talk about all of this. And those members worked for months to build bipartisan support for the bill. All well, and this is the least surprising detail of all, Trump was reportedly dismissing their efforts behind the scenes, telling Mike Johnson, quote, "No one gives a shit about housing." According to 4 sources who spoke to Punchbowl News, a lot of people care about housing, I would just note. But nevertheless, Congress managed to get the bill passed with overwhelming bipartisan support, readying it for the president's signature. And this morning, the stage was set for him, literally, to do exactly that. There is the stage on your screen. You can see it. There are seats there. There are flags there, everything. They literally built it at the Capitol for Trump to just sign the thing. All he had to do was just show up and write down his name with his big dumb Sharpie. That's it. It would have been a very easy victory. Vulnerable Republican candidates could have run on a bipartisan accomplishment, something that actually helped address the affordability crisis that voters are so pissed off at Trump about. But somehow, he managed to screw that up too. Because around 10:30 a.m., he took to social media and declared that he was hereby canceling the signing ceremony and would not sign the housing bill into law until Republicans pass his big voter suppression bill. Now, that's an announcement caught everyone off guard. I mean, everyone, especially members of Trump's own party. Trump's former top aide, who is now in charge of Republicans' midterm strategy, posted on X, this was a signature commitment that President Trump laid out in the State of the Union. Just a few months later, it becomes law. Now, he was apparently blissfully unaware that the president had refused to sign the bill he was referencing in that post. And so were congressional Republicans who were in the middle of a press conference praising their bipartisan achievement as Trump was on social media trashing the bill and saying he wouldn't sign it. Scott McFarlane even captured this footage I'm going to show you. It's quite something. Of Republican Congresswoman Virginia Foxx kind of stumbling around, looking lost when she showed up to the signing ceremony, only to find out that Trump had called it off. Yeah, she looks pretty confused there. Now, Trump could have just handed his party an easy win, but instead he blew it all up. After that humiliating debacle, Trump then attended a closed-door meeting with Senate Republicans that turned into an absolute circus. MS Now reports that Trump got into a shouting match with Republican Senator Bill Cassidy. Trump called Cassidy a lunatic. At one point, Cassidy referred to Trump as brother, to which Trump replied saying he wasn't his brother. That is factually true, but there you go. At one point during the meeting, Trump berated Republican Senator Dave McCormick for missing the vote on the war powers resolution for Trump's war in Iran, even though Dave McCormick missed that vote because he was literally with Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. And when reporters later asked McCormick if Trump had yelled at him during the meeting, he responded by saying, I love this, the food was great. Maybe that local D.C. sandwich shop that wouldn't cater Trump's fare showed up at the Senate Republican lunch. Who knows? And after other Republicans had similarly guarded yet uncharitable descriptions of the meeting, well, no number of them did. They were very guarded, but definitely not friendly. And here was Senator John Cornyn.
The president closed by preaching unity, but he spent the entire hour talking about things which were not exactly unifying.
I mean, I love YOLO John Cornyn, even though he was trying everything he could to just get that elevator button to go. The point is, it's clear that Donald Trump was in a foul mood today. And I don't think it was just his lame state fair or his failing voter suppression bill that set him off, because right before he decided to cancel the signing of that big bipartisan housing bill, he posted another telling missive, this one reacting to last night's election results in New York. He wrote, quote, Mayor Mamdani pulled through 3 solid communists and has received loud and universal applause from the fake news media. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. I won 16-0 last night, helping to elect wonderful American patriots, and the media doesn't say a word. Over the last 2 years, my endorsement has netted 259 primary wins and almost no losses with 0 media attention. Fake news. That is in no way factually true, but this shows you how unhinged he was this morning. Trump cares about political power, primarily, above almost anything else. And he is clearly feeling insecure about the fact that New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is receiving attention for having influenced several high-stakes primaries with his endorsement. For Trump, power and influence are the most important things a politician can have. And when someone else proves to be more influential than he is, Trump throws a fit to try and prove he's the very special boy who deserves all of the attention. That's why he spent the day blowing up his party's legislative agenda, getting in fights with Republican senators, because he is insecure about his own hold on power. And he knows the voters aren't with him. So once again, he has resorted to finding ways to make it harder to participate in the process. I mean, just listen to the way he was asked, what he said when he was asked about why he wouldn't sign the housing bill. This is quite telling.
Is this election legislation more important to you than resolving the housing crisis?
This is every election is important. We're doing very well. They want a lot of communists to come in. I'm saying it a little bit differently, but the people that they're pushing are communists, and this country is not going to have communists. Thank you very much.
Why didn't you sign that housing bill that had bipartisan support that probably the American people would have maybe even liked? Trump, the people they're electing in New York are communists. See, Trump is obsessed with the coverage of last night's elections in New York, and it's such a strange thing for him to get upset about that because that coverage is really not even universally positive for Democrats. I mean, plenty of media outlets seized on the opportunity to dust off their old Dems in disarray headlines, talking about divisions inside the Democratic Party. Don't get me wrong, there are real questions that last night's election raises for the Democratic Party. Questions about the power figures like Mayor Mamdani have within the party. He has a lot. Questions about the party's position on support for Israel and whether its leaders are out of step with their voters. Some may be. Questions about whether the Democratic Party should be rallying around incumbents in primaries, especially in places where primary races are the only opportunities for voters to get a say in who represent them. And that one feels pretty outdated to me. All of those are important issues that I'm about to talk about with Leader Jeffries. But before I get to all of that, I think it's important to put all of this in context against the chaos that is currently happening inside the party that controls all three branches of our government. Because if last night's seismic election results showed us anything, it's that there's only one political party left in the country that is ready to have serious debates about the future of the country, that has a diversity of voices and a diversity of views. Only one party that is capable of doing the hard stuff, while the leader of the other party can't get through the day without messing up ribbon cutting and signing his own name.